Hello everyone, and welcome to the Military Ground Vehicle Markets WebEx. First, a global overview. You'll see similar slides throughout the WebEx, so I'll give you a quick overview of our approach and methodology. Our markets forecast product is a bottom-up, requirements-based 10-year forecast rather than a top-down modeled forecast. In general, we include programs that are ongoing, contracted, or announced. And we also include opportunities that we derived based on our research. For instance, if a country has armored personnel carriers and hasn't procured new vehicles for a long time or upgraded their fleet, we would include a forecast for that opportunity, even if there's no official announcement, and we'd assign a probability and a time frame for the procurement. This slide shows that the global military ground vehicle market from 2019 to 2028 has a forecast value of $539.2 billion. And over that period, 360,000 vehicles will be built or upgraded. The compound annual growth rate for the period is 1.5%. Now we'll cover some of the regions, their profiles, and we'll start with the Americas. The Americas is dominated by U.S. production. However, Canada, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, and Colombia also contribute to the numbers for the region. The 10-year forecast in the region is $128.5 billion with 77,000 vehicles being built or upgraded over the 10-year period. The compound annual growth rate is forecast to be 3.3%. The Americas accounts for 24% of the global military ground vehicle market. The suppliers in the region are heavily concentrated when it comes to armored fighting vehicles, or AFVs. The region is dominated by General Dynamics and BAE, with 84% of the current spending and 62% of the total forecast. The difference is the spending that is as yet undetermined, so these would be uncontracted or stated opportunities. Well, this is good primarily for the U.S. for GDP and jobs, etc. It decreases competition, and this in turn drives up costs, but more importantly, it limits options for the military. And this isn't just for the U.S. Canada has a similar situation, and the remaining countries to a lesser degree. Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Colombia, all relying more heavily on imports. A negative consequence to this concentration of suppliers is that the industrial base may not be able to provide solutions without more emphasis on imports. In the case of the M1, production slowed and funding was made available in part to retain the industrial base, just something to consider. The good thing is that these two companies can provide and have provided the region with the majority of AFVs. Significant programs for General Dynamics are the M1, Stryker, and LAV family vehicles. For BAE, the major programs are the Bradley, the M109 Paladin, and the Armored Multipurpose Vehicle, or AMPV. There are also likely General Dynamics and BAE to be suppliers that may support the Optionally Manned Fighting Vehicle, or OMFV, and the Mobile Protected Firepower Vehicle, or MPF programs. For logistics vehicles, a similar situation exists, but it's not, it's more concentrated by having only a single supplier, and that being Oshkosh. They supply the majority of the truck market in the region. So starting with their victory in winning the family of medium tactical vehicles, or FMTV, more than a decade ago, and now with the delivery of the family of heavy tactical vehicles, or FHTV program. They also have the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle, or JLTV, and that's a massive undertaking to replace all the Humvees in the U.S. And Oshkosh has secured the contract for the first 16,900 vehicles. By the way, it was announced kind of quietly in the recent U.S. presidential budget request that JLTV will be recompeted. So it's possible that another supplier could win the contract. However, it's also possible that Oshkosh, I should say, will win part or all of that contract. And going forward, the FMTV program is seeking over 2,400 vehicles. However, it's nothing really when you think about eventually how much is needed by the U.S. Army in the FMTV range. And the announcements and the budget documents are a little bit scarce. They don't really reveal much about what's coming in the near future for both of those programs, FMTV and FHTV. Lastly, not all the production in America is retained. A good example is the massive export of LEVs produced by General Dynamics in Canada. The vehicles are destined for Saudi Arabia, over 700 LEVs in a contract that's estimated at $14 billion. And not all that's consumed in the region comes from the Americas. One example would be Canada's procurement of Leopard tanks and Mack trucks, and BAE's teaming with Iveco for the ACV 1.1 platform, the Super AV. It may not be popular with regional suppliers. However, there are outstanding suppliers outside of the region that should be considered more often. And a good example of that, by the way, is Rheinmetall's Lynx, which was an option for the optionally manned fighting vehicle, and they were going to team with Raytheon to replace a Bradley. It was a great vehicle, and they didn't proceed, but it's something to consider for the future.